Hello, everybody. I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to second grade social studies. Today we are going to talk about timelines and how we can use those to help us understand fiction stories and real things that have happened in the world. So, before I start, I would like to have you guys think about a situation. So I want you to imagine that I brought you to the carpet like I always do, and I tell you that we're going to read a story. But the story that I take out, okay, I open my book, and I take out every page of the book, and I throw them up in the air, and I just pick one up off the ground randomly, and I start reading. And then as I continue the story, I just keep picking up pages from the floor in no particular order, and I read you the story. It's completely out of order, but I get through the story until all the pages are gone. Now, I want you to think about if that was a good story or not. Do you think that you would be able to understand what story I was telling you? Do you think you'd be able to figure out what was going on? And just, would you enjoy the story if you didn't hear it in the order that it was supposed to happen? So the reason that I told you about that is I want you to understand how important it is to tell a story in the sequence of events that it occurs. So if you'll think back to sequence of events, we have talked about this before. It is the order that things happen in, okay? And I want to tell you guys about a tool that we can use to organize a story or organize a historical event in the order that things happened. And this tool that we can use is called a timeline. So why are timelines important? Well, they teach us about a sequence of events. And remember, right here, this little picture, sequence of events, this is the order in which things happen, okay? And when we think about the sequence of events, this can refer to a storybook, a fictional story. Remember, fiction is not real. Or it can refer to an actual historical event, something that really happened. Maybe a sequence of events in history, right? So timelines are important because we can use them to put events in order or time periods in order. They can help us understand the sequence of events, and we can use a timeline to understand fiction and nonfiction stories. And timelines help us think about the past, the present, and the future. They allow us to look at a period of time in the sequence that it happened. Okay? So, when we think about a timeline, we think about something that we are using is called chronological thinking. That is this big word right here at the top, chronological thinking. Okay? And all that means is understanding how events happen over time and understanding the order of how they happen. Okay? So, I want to show you an example of a timeline. This is an example. It has a title. It's called Events in the Life of Benjamin Franklin. Okay? And it will have a line, and it will have a start date and an end date, or just a section of history of times, of dates. And then it will have components. Oh, oops, I went backwards. It will have components. And so each of these little lines with a subtitle is an important date in the life of Benjamin Franklin. And so you'll see we have when he was born, and that was January 17th, 1706. And then we can skip over to when he was appointed the postmaster of Philadelphia in Pennsylvania. And this is when he did his famous kite experiment somewhere between 1750 and 1760. So we would be able to look at this timeline, and I could say, okay, tell me when he published his book on electricity. And you could look on this timeline and you could see right here, he published his book on electricity between 1750 and 1760, somewhere early in there in that decade, and it would probably be around, I would say 1751 or 52. Okay, so this is an example of a timeline, and these are all its components. You'll see that each important event has a title and it has a date. Okay, so this is what we're going to be looking at and learning about. Now, tomorrow when you come to class, I want to give you some practice thinking about timelines with a fiction story. We've done something similar to this called sequencing. That's when you tell me what happens first, then second, then third, then so on until you get to the last. That's called sequencing. And I want you to think about timelines in the sense of sequencing. So tomorrow when you come in, you are going to do an activity. I'm going to partner you up, okay? And when I partner you up, you are going to practice putting a story in order on a timeline. Now, this story is one that we have read before. It's The Three Little Pigs. You know, we have been reading that these past couple weeks in class. And so what you're going to do, you just have pictures. There's not really any words, okay? We have what happens first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. There are 6 pictures. So you'll pick one that happens first. I'm just going to pick a random one, and you would drag it up to the box. Oopsie. You would drag it up to the box and put it in that first box, okay? And then you would do that with the rest of them until they are all in order, okay? Now these are obviously not in order, but tomorrow when you are in your pairs, that is what you're going to do. And that's just because I want you to see how we can use timelines to talk about a sequence of events, okay? And once I feel like you've gotten some practice in with that, what we're going to do next is we are going to create our own timelines of our own lives. So what I have done is I've created my own timeline, and it is right here. Wait. There it is. Okay. So this is my personal timeline, Miss Jennings timeline, okay? And I created this with this resource, this website, and I'm going to show you guys how to get on that tomorrow when you come to class. But so I have my components, the day I was born, and I have a sentence talking about when I was born, okay, when I graduated from high school, when I started college, when I became engaged, when I will graduate and become a teacher. And then how I want to show you guys how you can add something onto this timeline so that when you start, you'll have some kind of understanding. So you're just going to click on a spot on the timeline, and then this comes up. So I'm going to add a new one. I'm going to, here in the label part, I want you to put the date. So I'm going to put June 2019. I'm sorry, 2020. And that is when I will get married. Okay? And then I could put a picture if I wanted to. So I'm just going to hit that check mark. And then I'm able to put my timeline event on the line, and there it is. Okay? And so tomorrow, when you come to class, this is what we are going to be doing. You're going to be doing this individually. Each person will create one. Okay? And how you are going to be graded is you're going to make a timeline with this app, and I want your timeline to have 5 components. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 because I just added one there, okay? But you only have to have 5. And then I need each component to have a date, and I want you to write one sentence explaining that important event. Okay? It just has to tell me what the event is. See, this is not a difficult sentence. I was born in Gastonia Hospital. Okay? One sentence, that's all you need. And then the most important part that I want you to focus on is I want all of your events to be in order, okay? So I would not have graduated high school after I started college. No, that comes before, okay? So if you have a little brother or a little sister, I don't want to see their birthday on your timeline before you were born because you're older. You came first. So that comes first on the timeline, okay? We understand that in a timeline, the time happens from left to right. So as you can see, I have things that happened in the past, but I've also got some things that happen in the future, like I will graduate and I will get married. And this right here, where my mouse is, would be the present. And then when you finish, you can just click finish. And then I want you to send your final one to me. And if you want to, you can print it out and keep it yourself. Now, I've got some pictures online, and you can include pictures if you like to, but you don't have to. That's optional. And I can show you how to do that tomorrow. So this is what we're going to do tomorrow. And that is what I wanted to tell you about today, about timelines. So, but most importantly, I just want you to think about how we can use timelines to understand a sequence of events. And we can use those timelines for fiction stories and for nonfiction stories, okay? So when you come in tomorrow, that is what we're going to be doing in class. And I hope to see you there. And I hope that you have a good night. Thank you.